We followed this bus and watched as it made stops to let children out. 13 out of 18 cars approaching failed to stop. Drivers who violate the order to stop are liable for fines up to $200. Fort Worth School Transportation Director Randy Engel says that violation of this particular ordinance is a real problem.
Since the first of the year, we've put about 30 to 40 more buses on. We're fixing to put 30 or 40 more buses on. And every time we put a bus on, this is 150 more kids per day that's riding this bus. And we've had drivers to get real angry at the school bus driver for asking them to stop. We've had PTA mothers out in the street trying to stop them, and they get in trouble with their patrons in their neighborhood on account of this. So we feel it's a situation that we've got to do something about, and we feel that something will be done in the next few weeks.
The meeting that we mentioned earlier will be between school officials and the Fort Worth Police Department. They'll work together to better enforce the law, catch violators, and better protect the children of Fort Worth. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
How do I look, Coach?
Well, I think I have you as a pupil from now on.
Okay, Coach, other than me, how does the rest of the team look?
Well, the team is shaping up pretty good, and as you know, the Golden Gloves will be on 16th of this month, and everybody just waiting for that moment now.
Coach, how long have you been coaching the fellows that box out of Dallas for the Golden Gloves?
Oh, I'll say I'm one of the oldest coaches in Dallas. I'll say about 25 years.
I understand we have 2 or 3 guys that are defending champions in our region. Is that right?
Yes, sir. It's Jim Rivero and Albert Martinez. And this other boy is Marco. He just came from Costa Rica. He fought in the Pan Ams over there.
Albert, I understand you're the welterweight champ of the Dallas Regional Golden Gloves. Do you think you'll have any trouble this year making it to Fort Worth again?
I don't know. They're all tough. They were tough last year, and they may be tougher this year.
Will you be fighting any guys this year in Dallas that you fought here in Dallas last year?
Yes, I think so. There's Joe Snell from Farmers Branch.
Marco, last year you fought in the Pan Am Games in Colombia.
Yeah.
How did you do?
Oh, fine. Last year in Colombia, I went to the second fight. You know, I win my first fight, but I lose my second fight over there.
But it's quite an honor to even fight in the Pan Am Games. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think you'll do this year?
Oh, very well. In the orders to Mr. Joe, he's a very good trainer.
Well, I just want to win here in Dallas. I don't worry about the state tournament till I get there, because, you know, what good is it thinking about the state tournament if I don't make it?
Okay, a guy that fights amateur. Do you ever consider us turning professional?
Well, kinda. You know, I don't know yet. It just depends on how far I get this year.
Would you like to fight Terry Daniels?
Well, not right now.
The station was crowded today for a change, but it was a different kind of crowd. A crowd that wasn't just passing through, but one that had come to stay for a while. In this case, for most of the day. And it wasn't the trains that brought them here. It was the Trinity Valley Kennel Club All-Breed Fund Match. The idea was to see which of the crowd of more than 300 had the best appearance and movement. There's been a lot of talk lately about what to do with Union Station, especially since the passenger trains no longer come here. So far, city officials have not been giving much thought to dog shows. Maybe they should. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.
I'm not really that interested in affecting audiences because, of course, to write for a national publication, you do have to have quite a number of years of experience and be able to push your own personality, which is something I'm not really interested in at the moment. More interested in criticizing the critics.
Mike, the movie people are saying that movies in '72 are better than ever. What do you think about that?
Better than ever? Well, let's just say that they're more daring in easy ways than they were before. That
The council first met in a morning session for more than an hour to discuss a replacement for Price. The meeting was held behind closed doors and was not open to the news media. When the doors opened, Mayor Wes Wise was asked by Channel 8 News if the public interest were best served in discussing a new councilman through an open or closed-door meeting.
Oh, absolutely closed. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that the state law on personnel matters pertain to situations just such as this. For example, when you are discussing the qualifications of individuals and of their individual personalities, backgrounds, actions or inactions they may have done, it would be highly damaging to some on some occasions that these sort of things be released to the general public. It wouldn't be fair to the candidates.
When the council met in open session a short time later, a large crowd was on hand, one which overflowed into the hallway. A number of women's groups urged the council to fill the vacancy with a woman. The council was told that with only one female member, it is not representative of the population of Dallas, which was said to be more than 50% women. About 1,000 signatures were presented in behalf of Mrs. Martha DeFee, a Pleasant Grove civic leader and businesswoman. But the council didn't go along with the idea of another female, nor did it go along with the request of Councilman George Allen for a black to fill the vacancy, which became known only after Allen explained he was outvoted in that closed-door meeting earlier in the day. As expected, the council picked Lawrence Ackles to succeed Price. In the last election, Ackles was narrowly defeated by Price, and that seemed to influence the council's final decision.
More people in the District 7 area who expressed an interest in this thing is a healthy sign, because as I said before, the saying had been made, and I had heard it frequently before, that you couldn't find a candidate in Pleasant Grove. And actually we came up with about 5 or 6 very able names here. I do most assuredly call on the City Council and for the people of Dallas to rally behind Mr. Ackles.
It's my prayer and my hope that we have more unity. That is a major goal that I had in mind last year, and I still have in mind today, is to bring in unity within the Grove and then it within the family of the city of Dallas.
Mr. Price was very much opposed to forced busing to achieve desegregation. This was one of his main planks. What is your position on that?
Of course, that's a school board issue, thank goodness. It's not one that we have to really wrestle with, but basically I don't really approve of forced busing.
In other developments, the council gave its approval to a higher education board which is aimed at helping to improve the financial conditions of private colleges and universities in Dallas. But the council delayed for another week a final decision on a 6% rate hike requested by the Dallas Power and Light Company. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move. It's shaping up as a vintage year for Tarrant County politics. Even a district judge's race is going to be contested, and that, as you may realize, is normally an uncontested position. One significant aspect of this year's primary is on the Republican side of the coin. Several races are up in the air with the possibility of a wide-open Republican primary, a relative rarity in Texas. For example, as of early this afternoon, there were 4 GOP congressional candidates in the 24th District race. Significant also is the so-called black flight from the Democratic to the Republican Party. 4 black candidates filed for the legislative primary on the Republican ticket this afternoon.
With the advancement that we have made in education, economics, and a concern for the oncoming generation that needs a platform of leadership of others who have pioneered, as others races have done, that we feel that we now have an opportunity to not only work for a party, to work within a party. And to work within will be a greater test of our ability to be a contributor rather than to be always on the receiving end.
It remains to be seen whether it's a true ideological move on the local level or whether it's simply an attention getter. At any rate, the move adds up to a little more spice in what is an already hot political year. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Jay Lewis in Fort Worth.
Well, the plan, first of all, comes up with a lot more money being spent for air pollution control in the state of Texas. With this money, they're going to buy manpower, which will help them increase their enforcement efforts. They're going to buy sampling equipment, which will enable them to more fully determine what is in the air in various localities around the state, some in areas where they haven't sampled previously.
Would this money come from the state or from the federal government?
This calls for money from both sources, increased state money, which is in turn matchable by funds from the federal government.
If the Texas plan is accepted, are people going to be able to see a reduction in air pollution? Would it be a visual thing?
Yes, it will be, but I must caution that it won't be visible overnight. You have to take time on things like this, and he will see a reduction, but he shouldn't look for it tomorrow. I think here in Dallas we'll see an improvement in the haze, for example, that was hanging over our city last fall quite a good number of days. This should clear up, but don't look for it tomorrow.
Will this plan eliminate air pollution, say, within the next 2 years?
Well, this plan addresses itself to achieving the national primary standards by mid-1975. So by that time, we should certainly see a considerable cleanup.
of the district, District 7. It seems important to us that Lawrence Ackles, the candidate who seems to
and demeanor will be in accord with the highest traditions of the City Council of Dallas. I personally feel that the expertise, leadership, vision, and dedication.
In fact, we had something to come up today that it would have at least equalized things if I could have had some black on here when something involving a black.
I'm not opposed to a black, but I would like to make a substitute motion that we set aside a day within 10 or 12 days, possibly this week or next week, and that we interview all people that result.
My previous support for Ms. DeFee, but I do want to point out that I feel that I could serve very well indeed for Mr. Ackles, who became a friend of mine. Ackles.
All right.
How many years have you been driving for the Dallas Transit System?
30 years, the 13th this coming March.
Are you superstitious about that?
No, I'm the only one left out of 6 men that started on the 13th.
Are you afraid about your flight today? I understand this is your first trip.
It's my first trip, but I'm looking forward to it. I've worked hard to earn this safety record to make this trip.
Would you feel any safer if you were in a bus?
Well, yes, if I was driving.
I'm a candidate for governor in order to give the people of Texas a choice other than that between two contaminated candidates and a legislator from the 1950s. I choose to challenge so that we can create our own political realities rather than sit on the sidelines, belaboring the insufferable political condition of our state. I am not part of the entrenched Texas political system, a system that spawned this present era of corruption and stock fraud scandal.
Ms. Fehrenthal, do you think the people of Texas will hold it against you because you're a woman as well as a liberal?
When I first ran in South Texas in 1968, the story was that I couldn't win because I was a woman. I not only won the first time, but I've gone back each time with greater majorities. So I do not face the fact that I'm a woman with any trepidation.
I think this will come across to the voter. I think that the average voter is tired of seeing politicians come along that seek out a forum for their own thoughts. And I think it's time that there's a real representative. Now, I know a lot of the candidates say that they're going to represent the people, but they don't have the background to represent the people. I'm of the people in that district, and that's why I think that I win. I think they'll recognize that.
Well, the purpose on my decision to run for the 3rd Congressional District is to give the middle class, middle income, and the lower income individuals in the 3rd Congressional District a working candidate. In other words, a candidate from their own type of income level.